What's going on, everybody? Aidan from Birds vs. Boys here. The first Eagles game recap of the season, week 1 in the books. It was a win. I am still sweating. I decided to do this immediately following the game so you can see how disheveled I am. I feel like I just ran a marathon myself, pacing up and down my living room. I'm sure everyone listening here feels the same. Eagles win 25-20 for a while there at certain parts, second quarter and fourth quarter. I'm sure it did not feel like that to anybody in the Philadelphia area. Before we get into it, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube page. We'll be doing game reactions for both the Eagles and the Cowboys after each game, trying to just 10-minute recap everything that happened. This probably would have been like an hour and 10 minutes if they would have lost that game and all the things that went wrong. But alas, they did win the game. They did escape 1-0, and that is all that matters at the end of the day to start the season outright. So, should we go offense or defense first? I think there was good and bad with both. We'll go offense because it might be quicker because I think there's a whole lot more bad than good. That was a disaster. That was 2021 Jalen Hurts. I feel like his decision-making process looked flustered. He looked in the second quarter a lot of bailing out. Part of that was, and we'll get into it, we've won a lot of games in the trenches. It did not feel that way at all today. So he was bailing out. And then in the second half, is there like a stipulation in his contract that he can't throw it to the tight end? Dallas Goedert was 0 receptions today. Tony Romo was pointing it out on multiple occasions. He had Goedert coming across the middle. One of them would have been a walk-in touchdown for Goedert, and he missed him. There's another one. The blitz comes from the side. Jack Stoll releases. Hurts doesn't see him. He would have been wide open. It would have been a big gain, easy first down. Just did not target the tight end at all. One of the things was that they wanted to work on with him when Shane Steichen left and became the coach of the Colts and Brian Johnson moved in. The next part of the development of Hurts was working the middle of the field and everything like that. Well, it did not feel like that way today. It felt like a lot of bailing out, almost like a regression. That didn't even feel like last year, Jalen Hurts. Now, again, this was a really good defense, a really well-coached defense who had, 9 months to scheme this up. And they did a great job of bringing pressure and getting just making them uncomfortable, both the offensive line and Jalen Hurts. But I just thought the decision-making process from Jalen Hurts was just weird. Even on the run when it set up the 4th and 2, I thought he could have had that first down. Doesn't get it. I have no problem with them going on it on 4th and 2. But it was like, that was one of the first times that they attacked with a slant all day. We saw that so many times in the Super Bowl. If it was a third down, they were getting a slant play to Devontae Smith and definitely A.J. Brown quite often. And they did that a lot last year. It did not feel like that. It just felt like an uncomfortable, uneasy game plan where nobody felt sure of themselves. And I can't tell if that's having a new coordinator or they're facing off against the greatest defensive mind in football history, and he just had them too schemed up. And they might have just lost up front, and we're just not used to seeing it. And we won so many times in the trenches last year with the offensive line just barreling guys over, wearing on them, and guys getting tired and having 7-8-minute drives in the fourth quarter that resulted in points. But we're just not used to what it looks like when we don't win there. I'll tell you what, everybody knows how good Matthew Judon is for the Patriots. That Keon Cole kid that they drafted, stud, immediate impact, and made as sizable an impact as Jalen Carter, which we will get into. But they have something on their hands. That is a great defense. Christian Gonzalez as well made plays as the rookie too. So they played well. I have to give all the credit in the world to the Patriots defense, but it just felt like, so there was a clear scripted 15 plays or so to start the game. And they did a great job of getting the ball out of Hurts' hands quickly. You saw the first play of the game was to Kenny Gainwell, 5 yards. All right, 2nd and 5. And they just kind of released him, and it's an easy play. And you don't really think about that after it's over. But they never got back to those just like easy plays. And they just never really got anything going offensively in terms of like a rhythm. There was one drive where they were hitting A.J. Brown for a while. That catch thing annoys me. Like we microanalyze everything. Like if you just were at a bar and asked somebody, was that a catch? Yeah, it's a fucking catch. I can't, if you watch it long enough, it becomes not a catch. We do that so often. That's so annoying to me. But it made it up for later in the game when the Booty didn't get his second foot down. So who knows? It worked out in the end. But it was just like, okay, where was that? Like he's getting into a rhythm. You're targeting the same guy. It makes sense, kind of trying to pick on the rookie. But that was in the third quarter. That was in the fourth quarter. Like, where was that in the second quarter after 4-5 straight 3-and-outs, just punting the ball behind the sticks, constantly in bad field position? You're losing the field position battle, punting from your own 10, stuff like that. And it was just weird. That was just like a really weird game plan. We saw them utilize the wide receiver screen that they're so good at. I think they did it twice. Then the first time they finally did it, and it was a 3rd and 9. And it's like, that's not where you really utilize that. And they didn't go to it before. The second time they utilized it was go to AJ Brown, and they held Lane Johnson. So it kind of turned into a positive play, or else that would have been a 2-yard game. And the plays that worked last year weren't there. And obviously the explosive plays weren't there. I think a lot of that is just the Patriots front seven just causing chaos and really just winning at the line of scrimmage and not giving a lot of times to Jalen Hurts. But again, that is the next stage with this contract, is like being a good decision maker under duress. And I thought there were times today that he just flat out wasn't. Kenny Gainwell. We've talked about this 100 times since March. He was going to be the guy. I am kicking myself for not drafting him in fantasy, to be quite honest with you. It was so obvious that he was going to be the guy since the Super Bowl and since like pretty much like the back month of last year. 18 touches today, 14 carries, 4 receptions. DeAndre Swift had 1 carry. I think they need to utilize him more. I love Gainwell, but I'd like to see more of a split in getting DeAndre Swift utilized. Rashad Penny, a healthy scratch, and I don't know if that continues or if they're going to change that up come Thursday against the Vikings, but the Gainwell stock is through the roof. But again, they did not win up front, and there weren't a lot of holes for him, but you can see the elusiveness and the burst that he has that makes them like him. Quick, we'll do special teams because it's real simple. Thank God for Jake Elliott. That last kick, I think it was a 47-yarder when it was 3rd and 17. They did a great job setting it up on the pass to AJ Brown to set up. It was like a 4th and 3 from around the 30. And just like dead center, like a Kyle Schwarber, no doubt, solo home run off the moss in Citizens Bank Park. That's what it felt like no doubt. And it came after the one, the 57-yarder was a no doubter. And the one that boinked in, oh my God, I forgot what these games are like. I love the Phillies. I love Philly sports. There's really nothing like the pressure and the nervousness and the anxiety and stress of an Eagles game. And it all came out during that Jake Elliott kick. Oh my God, when that ball bounced, that is the worst sound in the world. It's like root canals and the ball bouncing off of the field goal post when your team is kicking. 2 worst sounds in the entire world. So, but shout out to him going 4 for 4. On defense, let's start here up front. Who is the kid who's number 98? Did he play at a small school so nobody drafted him and that's why he fell to the Eagles? This was so easy, and I cannot begin to just question every GM in the league who drafted ahead of the Eagles in last year's draft. Jalen Carter won from play 1 today. He was in the backfield 4 or 5 times, and by the end recorded his first sack as an Eagle. He just wins one-on-one battles all the time and sheds guards nonstop. It's exactly what he did at Georgia and created pressure again today at a time where they needed it most, because they were not getting sacks. They were not getting a ton of pressure, and he did. Jordan Davis, a guy who we consider to be a project. It's year 2. Time to step up, buddy. He did multiple tackles for loss. They got nothing going on the ground. Ramondre Stevenson really wasn't a player at all, except for in the passing game on a long screenplay on the drive at the end of the second, the drive before the last one when they scored the touchdown to make it 25-20. But on the ground, he did exactly what he's supposed to do. Take up space and make sure if the running back's coming through the gaps, you close those gaps and make the tackles. And he did. I thought he did a phenomenal job and forced a fumble on Zeke Elliott by pursuing the ball. Great job by the Georgia kids. Shocking revelation that the Georgia players on the greatest defense of all time in college football might just be good at this football thing in the NFL. Who knows? Stay tuned. But that might not be the last sack you see from Jalen Carter. It's probably not the last tackle for loss you're going to see from Jordan Davis. I'm worried about Nakobe Dean. I don't like feet injuries. It wasn't ankle. It wasn't concussion. It wasn't cramps. Foot is weird. Foot is bad. It's usually like ligament or broken bone, and they take a while to heal, and I don't like that. I know he's questionable return. Questionable. Have you ever seen the league? What is questionable? I don't like it. So we'll see where that goes. I'm very nervous about that, because I don't know how I feel about the linebackers. I feel like the adjustments that the Patriots were making, that the Eagles were not in the second quarter, was finding lanes and finding gaps for Mac Jones to throw and get the tight ends utilized. And that was kind of just like the linebackers not really knowing where to be. and the safeties at points too. I was like, oh, I don't know about this. Reed Blankenship was awesome. He's just such a great tackler and makes open field tackles. It was very funny. There was a hold on the Patriots that put them behind the sticks and set up like a 3rd and 17 that became a 3rd and 23. He gets held on that play and then still ends up making the tackle. And then the open field tackle he made to set up a 4th down late in the 4th quarter. The kid just has football instincts. So, but there were times I thought that the back half was lost, and I don't know how much confidence you have in both of these coordinators coming out of it today. The defense was put in a lot of bad positions with constant 3-and-outs and constantly being on the field, and Jalen Hurts fumbling and then having to come back onto the field at the end of the game. But it was bad. There were times where they were getting lost, but again, part of that might just be that the offense was getting so lost all the time. There was a key play here. And if you're a basketball fan, you know this. Like, if your team's in a close game, you're just like, all right, give it to our best player. I know he can get us a bucket. It was 4th down, and I believe it was 25-14 at the time with 5.5 to go in the 4th quarter. The Patriots had already converted a 4th down, and they are at 4th and 3 at their own 20 in the red zone. Fletcher Cox and Hassan Reddick. Fletcher Cox makes the play to set up 4th and 3 on the tackle of Zeke Elliott. And then on 4th down, Cox, Reddick get home, force a bad throw, turnover on downs. When you need it most, give it to your guys that you know are your best players and let them go get a bucket. It's a basketball analogy, and it applies directly to defense in the NFL. Same on offense. When going gets rough, give it to A.J. Brown. Give it to your best players. And they did that on defense. The 2 best guys that we know are tried and true made a play when you needed it most. And thank goodness that they did. The amount of times that they were able to get themselves off the field in high-pressure situations was very impressive late in that game when the offense set themselves up for failure with a bad fumble and then not converting on 4th and 2. And then lastly, remember the 12 hours where Darius Slay was not going to be an Eagle anymore? I'm pretty happy that did not occur. The pick six was awesome. And then he probably should have had a second interception there. I think he got lost on the one Kendrick Bourne touchdown, but all in all, I feel like he was really stable in a game where there was not a lot of stability in the secondary and with the linebackers and everything like that. So just having him back is so key, because it's another guy where it's like, all right, you're tried and true. I feel like I can trust you. Big test next week. We know what he did against Justin Jefferson a year ago. We'll see if he can replicate that. Jefferson had 130 yards in the first half today. You know what he's about. So that'll be an interesting one. It is a quick turnaround, which makes me more nervous for the new Kobe Dean thing. Christian Ellis is probably going to have to be the signal caller. I'm okay with it, because I'd rather just get this out of the way. The Thursday night game, just get it out of the way early. You play it at home. You kind of are a little bit familiar with this Vikings team. It would ease all of our nerves if it goes the same way as last year, where you're up 24-0 at halftime and the offense is flowing, because that today was brutal. And there will be chances. The Vikings lost on today to the Buccaneers at home. So you got to think they'll be a little bit desperate, but at the same time, we kind of felt this regression from the Vikings coming. Put them deep in a hole in the cemetery and make them 0-2 early. Like, have that killer instinct. There are points today where I thought we looked timid, and I hate that, because that's just not us. The 4th and 2 call again was aggressive, but we just didn't convert and just didn't do a good job. We didn't close it out. Let's get back. Let's get home. Let's get the offense in rhythm. We can still do it. That was a great defense that we played in the Patriots. Better decision-making, less timidness. Let's go back Thursday. We'll be back on Wednesday for our show, and then I'll be back Thursday night recapping that game. Again, Eagles win 25-20. I haven't breathed in 42 minutes. I sweated more. I did the sauna today at the gym, and I think I sweated more during that game. That was insane. There was multiple times where you think they had it. They were up 11 with 5.5 to go. And then there were points beyond that where you're like, oh my God, they're going to lose this game, aren't they? This is how it ends. So it's good to be back having a heart attack over the Eagles. We'll be back later this week. We'll talk to you then.
Chris Hansen here, and I'm going to need you all to take a seat right over there and check out Birds versus Boys.
I think you're completely right here, and I hate it.
Yep. Hey, idiots. Stop doing dumb things.
I got 2 phones.
Upset alert. Upset alert. I might go insane.
I think you're already there.
There's no hope. Hope is gone.
If this was an AFC North podcast, we'd be done in 15 minutes.
Bob Hope.
I'm going to drink bleach.
That is the team you promised me you were going to be this year.
This is the Consciously Hopeful podcast.
I'll be watching.